Bewildering plots, exotic locations, foreign lyrics, spectacular music, and yes, temperamental singers and conductors. This is the world of opera. In these programs, I will take you on a journey through the most thrilling art form of them all, one where all of human life and emotion are on display. Music fuses with words to create stories of love, betrayal, revenge, sorrow, passion, tragedy, and comedy, to create the stirring and most magical world of Italian opera. I'm lucky enough to have one of the top jobs in opera, music director at the Royal Opera House in London.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have 30 minutes, please. Thank you.
Today is the dress rehearsal of Barbiere di Siviglia, and I'm conducting the piece for the first time, so it's a really big moment for me, actually. The singers are all getting ready. Well, the announcement has been made that I have to get down to the pit, and so that's where I'm going now. Opera began in Italy 200 years before Rossini's highly charged Barber of Seville. And the man who composed its first undisputed masterpiece was Claudio Monteverdi. Monteverdi worked as court composer at the Ducal Palace here in Mantua. He came here in 1590 at the age of 23, employed by the powerful Gonzagas to supply music to order for all kinds of occasions. This is Vincenzo Gonzaga, Monteverdi's patron. Now here he is royally clad in ermine, and he had plenty of money for his mistresses, but was obscenely in arrears when it came to paying Monteverdi for his music. Monteverdi was treated like a slave in this ducal palace and was miserable, all the while producing heavenly music. Monteverdi wrote a wide range of music for his employer, and the fashion at the time was for extravagant courtly entertainments using speech, songs, and dance. These were going to provide the basis for something entirely new. In the late 1590s, a group of Florentine intellectuals got together and tried to find a way to combine music and drama. They wanted to return to the classical Greek and Roman idea of theater, of declamation. But what they wanted to achieve with the music and this declamation was something more expressive, more powerful, more emotional. Inspired by these ideas, Monteverdi used the Greek myth of Orpheus and created one of the first examples of what was to become a new art form: opera. Orpheus himself is a singer, so of course his story fitted perfectly with the idea of having a completely sung drama. He uses his musical powers at the gates of Hades to bring his wife back from the dead. But before the story starts, there's a prologue. In introducing his first character, the character named Music, or the spirit of music, if you like, perfectly shows this marriage of speech and music. Io la musica son, chi ai dolci accenti. There's no real pulse in the music, it's just free. So far tranquillo ogni turbato cuore. Just a few chords and, yes, almost spoken word, recitativo, or in English, recit. That's the shorthand we use. This sung speech was the revolutionary idea that created opera, telling a story and developing characters. Now, Orfeo, donde vieni in a different tempo? Ove vai? Where have you come from? Where are you going? Ninfa che porti. Monteverdi successfully integrated this sung speech with songs, dance, and scenic effects to create a complete dramatic world. And it was unveiled in 1607 to a delighted audience in Mantua at carnival time. The British Library holds a rare print of Monteverdi's Orfeo. I was very excited to examine it with the early music expert, Marshall Marcus. The word opera didn't really exist yet. This was called a favola, a fable, if you like, a story.
So it's like a sketch, and I'm thinking of something like, say, Kind of Blue, that famous album with Miles Davis. He goes into the studio, he's written out a little bit of stuff, he's got a few numbers here and there, and he gives it to the guys, and they use that. They create from that this extraordinary recording. This is much more akin to, I think, how Monteverdi's players are working.
So they're the jazz musicians of their time, is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I would say.
And Monteverdi used his musicians to create a whole range of moods and colors. Listen to this dance rhythm, very characteristic of Monteverdi. 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Sometimes 2 and sometimes 3. A pivotal moment is when the messenger tells Orfeo that his wife has died. Here Monteverdi creates a very special atmosphere and will, at the same time, move us deeply. A te ne vengo Orfeo, messaggera infelice.
Monteverdi said it was only through the uniting of poetry and music that it was possible to truly move an audience.
Di case più infelice, più funesto.
When Orfeo discovers that his wife has been bitten by a snake,
Oimè, che odo.
He reacts with shock. He freezes, and his musical lines freeze too.
La tua bella Euridice, oimè. Orfeo was such a success that Vincenzo Gonzaga ordered a second performance within days. This is the church in Mantua where in 1599 Monteverdi had married the beautiful Claudia Cattaneo, one of the singers at court. Over the years, she'd kept Monteverdi going in a job that was far from ideal. Mantua is a very difficult place to live in the winter, very foggy, very humid, and the drudgery of the work that Monteverdi was expected to do from those demanding Gonzagas made their life a misery. After the triumph of Orfeo in 1607, just a few months later, Claudia died. Monteverdi was broken. Now that he lost his wife, he knew he had to get away. And this is where he came, Venezia, Venice. A powerful trading port and a rich, self-governing republic. Monteverdi was now 46, and he landed the most prestigious musical position in all of Italy, director of music at St. Mark's Basilica. He worked here for 30 years, The job gave him the financial security he craved and left him free to compose for the local nobility and rich merchants, putting on shows in their lavish private palazzi. It was Venetian mercantile wealth that led to the next big development in opera. With all this money around, opera went commercial, and in 1637 the very first public opera house was opened. And it was around this time that the word opera, which means literally work or opus, came into use to describe the new art form. It was for the commercial stage in 1643 that Monteverdi wrote his final masterpiece, The Coronation of Poppaea. It was highly unusual for the time because he based it on a true story.
In a theatre somewhere near here, the premiere of L'Incoronazione di Poppaea took place. We're on the edge of town, and the premiere took place at carnival time, when, shall we say, morality and morals in general were slightly relaxed. I say that because this is an opera about the Emperor Nero, for all intents and purposes a serial killer, and his affair with the ambitious courtesan Poppaea. Now this opera is so depraved, so full of sex, ambition, murder, intrigue. This is an opera written by a 76-year-old man holding the most important church musician position in all of Italy. And for him to write something like this, which even today is quite shocking, is remarkable. Yeah, it's hard to believe, actually.